My husband left me when I was at my lowest, but years later he found me thriving with the man he hated most. Now he's trying to sabotage our relationship, begging me to take him back, and blaming me for his mistakes. I had always believed that love could fix anything. I used to think that as long as you had someone by your side, nothing could tear you down. But life has a funny way of showing you that love, in its purest form, can be a fleeting thing. My name is Olivia, and this is the story of how I lost everything I thought I knew about love and found it again, only for the past to come crashing into my present, threatening to ruin everything I had rebuilt. When I met Ryan, I thought I had found the man I was meant to spend the rest of my life with. We were young, carefree, and full of dreams. We married in our mid-20s, and I was convinced that we would be one of those couples that defied all odds. But life, as I said, has a way of changing things. A few years into our marriage, things began to shift. Ryan became distant, and I couldn't pinpoint the exact moment it happened. We'd been through the usual struggles as finances, work stress, family drama, but it was as if something in him had shifted, and I couldn't get through to him anymore. He stopped being the man I had fallen in love with. I, on the other hand, had always been someone who put others first. I gave everything I had to my marriage, to Ryan. But then, one fateful night, I reached my breaking point. I lost my job, something that had been a huge part of my identity. I spiraled into depression, struggling with feelings of worthlessness. It was a dark time in my life, and I felt completely alone. Ryan wasn't there for me. He was distant, cold, and seemingly uninterested in helping me get through it. I begged him for support, for comfort, for reassurance, but all I received was silence. His eyes were no longer filled with the warmth I had once seen, instead, there was only frustration and impatience. He wasn't the man I had married anymore. And yet, I clung to the hope that things would get better. But one night, he came home late, and I could see it in his eyes before he even spoke. The words that followed would forever change my life. "I can't do this anymore, Olivia," he said, his voice devoid of emotion. "I need space. I need to figure out who I am without you." It felt like a knife in my chest. He was leaving me at my lowest, when I needed him the most. "What do you mean? Ryan, please don't do this. I'm struggling, and I need you. You promised you'd always be here for me." "I'm sorry, Olivia," he said, his voice cold and distant. "I can't help you right now. I need to focus on myself. Maybe we should just take a break." I don't know. That was the last time I saw Ryan for months. He moved out, and I was left to pick up the pieces of my broken life. I couldn't understand how someone who had promised to love me through thick and thin could just walk away when I needed him the most. But in that pain, I found something I hadn't expected: strength. I spent the next year working on myself. I got therapy. I rebuilt my career from scratch. I learned to love myself again. Slowly, I began to see the light at the end of the tunnel. I was thriving, doing better than I ever had before. And in that process, I met someone who changed everything for me: Ethan. Ethan was everything Ryan wasn't. He was kind, patient, and understanding. He saw me, not the broken woman I had been, but the woman I had become. With Ethan, I didn't feel like I had to carry the weight of the world on my shoulders. He made me laugh, he encouraged me to chase my dreams, and most importantly, he loved me for who I was, not for what I could give him. Our relationship grew quickly, and I couldn't help but feel that everything in my life was falling into place. I was happy, truly happy, for the first time in years. Ethan was my rock, and together, we built a life that I was proud of. But then, one fateful evening, everything came crashing down. I was at home, sitting on the couch with Ethan, when the doorbell rang. I opened the door, and there he was, Ryan. He looked different, older, worn out. His once confident demeanor was now replaced with a nervous, almost pleading energy. "Olivia," he said, his voice shaky. "Can we talk?" I felt my heart race, but I didn't let it show. "What do you want, Ryan?" I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. I know I messed up. I've been thinking about you, about us. I've made a huge mistake, Olivia. I shouldn't have left you. I shouldn't have walked away when you needed me the most. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. So now you want to come back? After everything you did to me, after you left me to pick up the pieces of my life alone, now you want to come back? He stepped closer, his eyes filled with desperation. I've realized that I was wrong. I was selfish. I don't expect you to forgive me, but I'm asking for another chance. I still love you, Olivia. I could feel my pulse quicken. Part of me wanted to give in, to believe him, but I knew better. I had spent years healing, rebuilding myself, and I wasn't going to let him destroy that. Not again. No, Ryan, I said firmly, my voice shaking with emotion. You had your chance. You left me when I was at my lowest, and now you want to come back because I've found happiness with someone else? You can't just come back into my life and expect everything to be the same. It doesn't work like that. He looked at me, hurt flashing in his eyes, but then his expression hardened. So that's it, huh? You've moved on, and now I'm the one left behind? Fine. But don't come crying to me when he breaks your heart, Olivia. He's not the man you think he is. The words stung, but I held my ground. I'm not going to let you manipulate me anymore, Ryan. I'm happy. Ethan treats me with the love and respect you never could. You don't get to come back into my life and ruin that. Ryan's face twisted with anger, and for a moment, I thought he might lash out. But then he turned and walked away, leaving me standing in the doorway, shaken but resolute. That should have been the end of it, but it wasn't. Over the next few weeks, Ryan became increasingly aggressive. He showed up uninvited at my work, at my home, even at places where he knew I would be. He would call, leave messages, telling me how much he missed me and how he regretted everything. He tried to sabotage my relationship with Ethan, spreading rumors, calling Ethan's friends, trying to convince them that I was only with him out of spite. But what hurt the most was how Ryan twisted everything to make it look like I was the one who had made all the mistakes. He told anyone who would listen that I was the one who had pushed him away, that I was the one who had ruined our marriage. He blamed me for everything that had gone wrong, as if he hadn't been the one to walk away. One night, Ethan and I were having dinner when Ryan showed up at the restaurant. He stormed in, his face red with rage, and before I could stop him, he was at our table, shouting at Ethan. You don't deserve her. Ryan yelled, his voice filled with venom. She's using you, Ethan. She's always been broken, and you're just a rebound. She'll never love you the way she loved me. Ethan stood up, his calm demeanor not wavering. You need to leave, Ryan. Now. But Ryan wouldn't listen. He kept yelling, making a scene in front of the entire restaurant. I felt embarrassed, humiliated, but more than that, I felt disgusted. This was the man who had once promised to love me, and now he was trying to tear me apart. Finally, the manager stepped in and asked Ryan to leave. He stormed out, muttering under his breath, and I felt a wave of relief wash over me. I'm so sorry, Olivia, Ethan said softly, taking my hand in his. He's not going to win. You don't have to listen to him. I looked at Ethan, his face full of concern, and I realized something in that moment. No matter what Ryan did, no matter how hard he tried to tear us apart, I knew that Ethan was the one I was meant to be with. I had found love again, a love that was real, built on trust and respect. And I wasn't going to let Ryan destroy that.